Salam alaikum. Marhaba. Hello and good afternoon. How is everyone today? Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Darren Frankel, and I'm a blockchain technology advisor. I'm actually fairly new to the region, and I'm here actually advising the Dubai government on how to build the world's first blockchain-powered city. So I'm very excited to be here today because I get to talk to you about the distributed future and how blockchain plays a role. Let's start with this simple question. What is blockchain? Blockchain in its most simple form is a distributed database replicated over a number of peers from which we can extract information and share data. It allows us to interact in a peer-to-peer basis directly between you and me, exchange information, exchange agreements, and exchange value. There's a lot of technical intricacies behind it, but I want to make it pretty simple to understand using us in the room as an example. So take me up front, and I want to pose a question which I'd like each of you to vote on. I'd like you to tell me whether I should wear black or brown shoes with my gray suit. Very simple. What I might do in a traditional model is go around the room and take note cards from each of you one by one, collect the answers one by one, and then put together a presentation that says, this is why you all said I should wear black shoes. Do you trust me? What if I told you I prefer black shoes? What if I told you I forgot to pack brown shoes? Do you trust me? What blockchain does, it eliminates that trust. Instead of collecting responses from each one of you, what if I gave you each a note card? And on that note card, I ask you to write a random 10-character string, any number, any letter that you wanted. Each of you would have your own unique identifier. And instead of providing me all the answers, your central authority, the trusted third party, you pass those note cards around and around and around until eventually all of you knew that your answer as the crowd was brown. And I'd have to stand up here and tell you, I forgot my brown shoes. This is what blockchain does. Blockchain creates a system, a network, where you can exchange information and value directly with each other. You don't need me to collect your answers. You don't need me to stand in the middle. You all can exchange values and information directly with one another. You can see the truth of the matter without the influence of me. This is what blockchain does, and this is what distributed systems do. It's very, very important to the way our digital world will evolve. When I look at blockchain and when I look at distributed web technologies, I look at it and say, distributed networks are the foundation of the new digital world. A new digital world which does not rely on central authorities, trusted third parties, but rather allows us to exchange information and value with each other in a peer-to-peer manner, digitally, like never before. I can send money around the world at the click of a button. So I'd like to tell you how we got to where we are today, because oftentimes blockchain is shrouded in the digital currency revolution. So if you haven't seen this before, this is the Gartner Hype Cycle, which tracks emerging trends in technology. It tracks everything from augmented and virtual reality, drones, virtual assistants like Siri, and artificial general intelligence. It tracks technologies from the inception at the innovation trigger through the cycle of hype, all the way through when those technologies are truly productive for us. Blockchain right now is this green dot. Where did it start? So, as mentioned by a previous speaker, many of you may be familiar with Bitcoin, the digital currency that got famous through the dark web. Those were the days when hackers, anonymous actors chose to use this digital means of exchange, this digital currency, to send money to each other for illicit goods and services. That's why I placed it down here. It wasn't something that just didn't have any expectations. It was actually something that we didn't want. But that technology evolved over the next few years until 2011, when it finally reached what's called dollar parity. Something in 2009 which had zero value suddenly surpassed the value of $1. That's when people started to take notice, and the emergence of what are called altcoins, or alternative digital currencies. These altcoins grew and grew and grew, and the technology community continued to wonder, what about the technology behind the Bitcoin? What about the technology behind these currencies called the blockchain? What can we do with it? What can it do for us? In 2015, we had the launch of a platform called Ethereum. Ethereum is a smart contract platform. Smart contracts are simply digital agreements that run on top of the blockchain. These digital agreements allow me to form peer-to-peer exchanges. They allow me to form digital escrows. They allow me to create any application of my choosing that I can run directly with anyone right beside me. I can create distributed securities markets, distributed social networks. All these different things are possible with the Ethereum blockchain and smart contracts. Over the next year or so, enterprises take notice, and that's when I got on the scene, where enterprise organizations and governments started to look and see, what can we do with this peer-to-peer distributed network technology? How can it change our businesses? How can we be the disruptor and not the disrupted? Throughout 2016, the enterprises continued to do what are called proof of concepts, testing the waters. But it was the startups who truly made moves into what you may have heard of called ICOs, or initial coin offerings. This allowed them to raise funds using digital currency from around the world without having to go through the traditional financial system. This peaked earlier this year when some parties were able to raise over $200 million US without going through any traditional financial system, without issuing any equity. That brings us to today. Regulators around the world, such as Australia, China, and the US, are all taking different approaches, whether it's to issue guidance, say we're watching, or ban these practices altogether. But the technology is there. The technology is censor-proof. The technology will continue to go on. And this is where I need your help here in this room. The future is still open. We are here today where digital currencies have really driven blockchain technology. But going forward is the decentralization, the peer-to-peer, the distributed network that is really going to pave the way for our future. We can build things like distributed social networks. Can you interact with each other without going through a Facebook or a Twitter? Emails directly to each other without having to go through an email server. Think about the power of these systems. State-backed cryptocurrencies, transparent money, programmable money to form the foundation of our new financial systems. Global supply chains that are connected, that allows us as consumers to make better choices for sustainable and ethical means of production. And finally, interconnected governments. Governments around the world connecting in a bilateral way, each government on an equal playing field, eliminating the idea of a center of the world. These are all the systems that decentralized technologies like blockchain promise. And these are the things that I am working day and night to build. And so I ask you all today, when you look at the services around you that you use each and every day, in our distributed future, can I do this better? Is there a better way? Do I trust the people I'm dealing with? Thank you.